What's up? It's Margot. I'm gonna go talk to Nick and Flo from dry cleaning. Let's go!
Nick and Flo, hello. How are you feeling?
Hi.
Hello.
You're feeling great. Yeah, it's all good. The end of a long tour. The last day.
Yeah, true. A long tour, but it's been really good. Yeah.
But yeah, I want to talk with you guys about your music listening habits and just like I guess your life as a music listener, since that's like a lot of what I talk about online, I guess. So, do you think you could recall like your earliest music memory?
I think I can.
Go for it.
It's strange, but I was given like a cassette tape of. Do you know who the Andrews sisters are?
I don't think I do.
Like a close harmony group.
Yeah, they're like a close harmony group, and they're mainly like a wartime thing. They used to do like USO shows and stuff. There were 3 sisters, I think, but they would sing in close harmony and do these kind of like, I don't even know what the genre is. Maybe it's like swing or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really don't know a lot about them, but you know when you're a kid and you just come across these things like a cassette, and then you just become obsessed with it because it's the only cassette you have. I used to listen to those songs all the time, and they're so like they're extremely old-fashioned and like pretty conservative really, but their singing is quite amazing. And I used to get really into like learning the lyrics. I think it was like the first time I learnt the words to a song, even if I didn't really know what they meant or yeah. So that's definitely one of mine.
How old were you at this point, you think?
At the oldest, like 6.
Wow.
Something
So
like
really
that. Like
young.
very small, really, really small. Yeah. Like I didn't really understand the context of the music or anything. I just knew that they were like glamorous ladies and there were lots of words.
Yeah.
You know, because it's quite fast as well, the way they sing. So that just really seduced me when I was a kid.
Wow.
Just on a very basic level. But yeah, it's a strange one. I haven't listened to that music for years, but yeah.
Wow. It must be crazy to revisit it.
Yeah.
If you were to revisit it now.
Well, it's weird because I think that's also something about music and films and books and anything. If you consume them as a kid and then go back and listen to it when you're older, you understand so much more about the time period or like even, just the content, what things are about. And it can really change. So yeah, I don't know. It's a strange one. Can you think of something early?
Something early.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think anything as specific as that, which is weird because I think I have a really good memory from quite young, like kind of like 3-ish. Really? I remember things from like that kind of age. Musically, no, not so much. But I kind of remember the musical kind of context of what was happening at that time in my family. Like my mum would listen to a lot of ABBA and Paul Simon and Queen and the Beatles and stuff. And you know, that's really easy to get into when you're a kid. You know, I mean, my sister really enjoyed all of that. My dad used to work at, he's a librarian, and he used to work in a music library looking after like the LPs and stuff, and he was really into classical music. So, you know, we just hated that. when we were kids, that was like
not very appealing.
Yeah, it's like
totally.
Kid. But now I have more appreciation of that kind of thing, but also I know a lot of it really well because it was just playing all the time. Like, it's really weird. You can kind of recall all these things.
Yeah, definitely.
Stuff I haven't really actively listened to. But then, you know, like the first band I really, really loved was Blur.
Really?
And that was...
Blur over Oasis then.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I bought both. I used to go down to... We used to have Woolworths. I think you have Woolworths in America. But
yeah, not so much anymore, yeah.
Yeah, in the UK it was kind of like the shop where you could kind of like, they'd have all like the top 20 charts and all that stuff, and they'd have pick and mix suites, and toys and clothes. It had kind of everything. And you'd go and you would buy them all on cassette. I would buy the singles on cassette. And when I was at school, like, I don't know, like maybe 8-ish kind of age, I think Blur were releasing. That's when the Great Escape came out, after Park Life.
Okay.
With all the big songs on that, and yeah, it was kind of like blew my mind really. Which is now like, yeah, I can't really listen to that album now. Really still love Blur, but yeah, that album's kind of like really in your face, like Britpop. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, I was 8 then, and now I'm nearly 38. So surprisingly,
yeah, things can change, you know.
Yeah. For a kid, though, it's like I sometimes think, like, for a kid, there's lots of things that are just quite, I don't know, like primary colors, just like very kind of like in your face, kind of simple stuff that is just like really addictive when you're a child, and then later it's just kind of it's somehow just not really complex enough. But yeah, when you're small, that kind of thing is just like really exciting. Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like a fresh experience, and
Yeah.
you kind of wonder, like, will you ever experience like that color or listening to an album like that intensely? Because it really just blows your mind, because you don't have as much exposure to a variety of things. Whereas like now, you know, especially, you know, after years of simply just like existing and being exposed to a ton of different media or art, like, yeah, you kind of wonder, like, it's kind of like a feeling that you chase almost. You're like, when will something feel that intense again?
Yeah, feel like new. Yeah.
Yeah. Can either of you like remember the time in your lives that you were maybe consuming the most amount of music? Was it like when you were a teenager, or was it even like in more recent years?
I'm going to say it's definitely now.
Really?
Yeah, 100% now. Yeah. Well, I have. Yeah, I guess the way that music works now with like the internet, broad. It's just music is way more accessible to me now than when I was 15 and I could afford to buy like 1 CD a month or whatever. So, yeah, I kind of pay the same amount of money now to listen to whatever I want whenever. And let's not go into.
We don't have to. No, we don't have to. No.
Yeah. I said it before, but yeah, Spotify definitely makes more money from me than I do from them.
Oh.
But like, you know, it's also an amazing system for me personally.
Me too. Yeah.
Right.
Just like a great discovery tool.
Yeah, 100%,
you know, especially like as a musician, like we said, we're not going to get into this, but you know, like it's a great discovery platform. And you know, on the musician side, you're definitely not going to make a ton from it, but hopefully that will make up for itself, like through, you know, people coming to see you live, buying merch, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, it's like a double-edged sword.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated. But yeah, from purely positive side, it works great for me. And I listen to things I never imagined I would listen to every day.
Yeah. Is there anything, I guess, that you can recall maybe in recent years that has really left an impression on you, like an album or an artist?
I think both of us would probably give a massive shout out. So we're at a gig today. It's as we discussed earlier, we're in New York, and on this tour, Marcus has been supporting us. Marcus, aka Nourished by Time, and I first heard about him through Flo. She played one of his tracks on a radio show we were doing together, and I heard that and I was like, wow, this is unusual. and then there were a few other people we knew who were kind of into his music, and then obviously very lucky in that he's touring with us, so you get to know him and see the music being performed every night. So it's left a massive impression on me. I love his work. You probably have something to know as well.
Oh, well, also, I would also, in terms of like, sometimes we get asked about like, what's your favourite album of last year? And the album I always kept forgetting to say was Topical Dancer by Charlotte Adigéry and Paulus Popul. I mean, like, that album is insane. Like,
it's so cool.
I hear new things in it all the time.
Super innovative.
Yeah. And like just the writing, I'm always going to like listen to lyrics, not necessarily first, but I'm just very preoccupied with them. And her writing is just incredible. It's kind of like so kind of casual at times and then so poetic at other times. And then it kind of sounds like somebody sort of talking off the top of their head 1 minute, and then the next minute it's like really kind of like staunch, and it's almost like protest music.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
very like socially charged.
Yeah, but in a way that
in a personal way.
Yeah, exactly. It's really personal, and I just think that they're amazing. And me and Lewis went to see them at Glastonbury, and they unfortunately they had exactly the same slot as Diana Ross.
Oh gosh, that's so unfortunate.
It's such a harsh clash. And also she was on the stage like right next door as well, so it was like it was very harsh. But I mean, the show they put on for like quite a small number of very lucky people was incredible. They're both so charismatic, and just honestly, like, I can't praise them highly enough. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you're a fan of the record too.
I was a huge fan of that album. That was one of my favorite albums from last year. And yeah, like there's just such a variety of sounds that they capture like in the track list. Yeah. Like there's a song where it's called like Ha Ha, and it's literally just like her laughing, but like the intonation at which she does that is just, I'm like, have I ever heard like a song like this before? And I heard they're really great live too.
They're amazing, and they do that song live as well. So she literally performs it start to finish, and she's kind of 1 minute it's like she's crying, and the next minute she's sort of screaming, and then she's kind of, I don't know, she's an amazing actress as well.
Yeah, very like, theatrical.
Or at least an amazing channeler. So
dry cleaning have been longtime friends before you even formally came together and joined forces as a band. What are some artists or albums or bands or genres that you guys really bond over?
It's like we need to draw you a diagram almost, like with a sort of Venn diagram. There is everyone has really specific tastes, and there's an area in the middle that crosses over. And
in the area in the middle, so definitely the B-52s are in the middle of the diagram.
Sure. Deftones.
And Deftones are in the middle of the diagram. Who else? There's a lot. When you were first playing in the band, and I was hearing about it before I was in it, I know that you were listening to like the Necessaries and the Feelies and things like that. Am I wrong?
No, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
And, we basically had like essentially like a little playlist that me, Lewis, and Tom were kind of listening to these, I don't know, half a dozen tracks quite a lot. and we were like, oh yeah, let's do a band that sounds like that-ish. That'll be fun. But since then, we've never really done anything like that. It's just been more of a, whatever's in your head is kind of in the pot.
Maybe Grace Jones is in the middle as well of the diagram.
Yeah, I think Grace Jones is big for everyone. That everyone kind of needs to be here, I suppose, really, to kind of reaffirm this. But there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I think some of it is kind of unexpected in the middle of that crosses over.
I guess alternatively, are there any bands or albums or just artists in general that are really divisive amongst the band?
Oh, probably.
You know what? I'm gonna say not really. No one's ever played anything to me where I've been like, "Oh, what the hell is this?" Like, really rarely. That's true. And I think it's really, we talked about it before. It's really important to respect each other's tastes, but you can't just do that. Like you have to. It has to be earned, And like the more you kind of do those radio shows and you spend time together in the van listening to music, blah blah blah, you start to understand where people are coming from more and more. Like Tom, for instance, like he has like quite a really specific taste in sort of like kind of broadly speaking, like kind of punky guitar music, but it's got like they always have like a really sort of specific sound and texture to it. It'll be quite rough around the edges, quite scratchy. And then his taste in sort of like electronic music and techno and things like that will often share a similar aesthetic, like have a sort of like a slightly shady aspect to it, like that it's kind of rough around the edges, and you can kind of really sink your teeth into it,
Yeah.
And the more you spend like listening to each other's taste, you kind of you pick up on that more.
Yeah, you see like the full picture. And like the overlap even between sounds that might be like very like sonically different, but similar, like you were saying, similar textures.
And when you piece it all together, you're like, oh yeah, this is really cool, and I get how that influences your approach to whatever it is you're doing musically. And then Lewis, I'll talk about the guys because they're not here and they can't argue with me. But like Lewis is really interesting because he'll, like, broadly speaking, he listens to like really kind of like a broad genre, but like through all of that there'll be like a sort of really strong sort of almost like a sort of happiness aesthetic. Like he listens to really like energizing sort of like kind of happy music. I don't really know else to say it. It's
well, it's always very like bassy and like groovy. You know what I mean? Like it's never a downer. Like it's like a lot of times it's like party music. I mean, but maybe people wouldn't expect that. But I would expect that. That's what I think of if I think of Lewis.
Wow. I love how you both talk about their music tastes in such like a beautiful, open-minded light.
Well, it is nice because we do all have quite different tastes. So it's always interesting. It's always like, there's always something new to listen to. And yeah, you're right. When you asked the question, I was thinking like, there's probably loads of stuff that's divisive, but actually, I don't know. We're very respectful.
That's amazing.
So it's kind of lame, really. Maybe it would be more exciting. No,
it's so refreshing.
It would be more exciting if we were kind of like bitchier. But like, I feel like, we're just like, I think if I hear something that one of the guys is listening to, even if I'm like, I don't like it, I'll try so hard to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll try and like inhabit them and be like, what is it that they're hearing that's interesting, or like what's the mood, or like what are they sort of like getting from it. I think like I'm definitely like an emotional listener to music first and foremost.
Yeah, me too.
Like rather than like genres or styles or whatever, I think you actually said this to me once. You were like, you whenever you talk about music or listen to music, it's always about like the mood of it, or like the story, or like something that is like a personal feeling or an emotional feeling, rather than like, oh, I like it because it's this genre or that genre.
Yeah.
have quite eclectic taste, but the thing in common is always like there's like a strong character in the song, or like, I don't know, just something that tells you something about the person that made it, like in a, I don't know, in a personal way. It's quite hard to describe, but something like that. Maybe because I mean I wasn't a musician before, so maybe it's like I'm not technical at all, so maybe that's different. I don't know.
But I mean, explaining how, you try to approach what the others in the band are listening to, just like with an open mind and trying to see like where they're coming from and what they're enjoying from the music. It's like almost like expressing radical empathy, like radical musical empathy. Because you're like, what's your experience? I'm going to put myself in your shoes and try to listen to it from your point of view.
I think especially, I mean, these days people primarily listen to music on headphones. That's a big statement, but maybe not.
I do.
But I mean, it's like everyone lives in tiny places and no one can afford fancy speakers. So it's like the best way to listen to music is on headphones, almost for everyone. But so the idea of like things that people listen to, it's very personal. It's like your own little sort of world. And and especially when things people listen to take a certain pattern, it's like a clue to their inner world as well. It's a good way to like get to know someone.
Yes, definitely. It's so personal.
Yeah. So to be like, I hate that. It's like,
well, do you hate me? Do you hate that part of me?
It's like, it's very harsh.
No, it is harsh.
It's
That's
harsh.
like the worst thing someone could say to me.
Yeah. I mean, there are things I hate though.
It's okay. It's okay for people to hate you because you don't need them.
Both for taking the time to chat with me about what I think is a kind of like very personal topics, like kind of similar to what we were saying, like, music and your music taste can be really personal and almost vulnerable. I think definitely vulnerable, at least for me. I'm a sensitive person, but like my music taste that's like a huge part of who I am. And I know as musicians, you can maybe say the same. So thanks for chatting with me. You at home or wherever you're watching from, on the train, in the car, I don't know. I hope you're not watching this while driving. But if you haven't listened to Stumpwork, please do. It was one of my favorite albums of last year. Dry Cleaning is one of the most exciting bands active right now. I've loved seeing your sonic trajectory like grow and transform and expand even from album to album. It's really insane and so interesting and captivating to watch, and I feel like the feeling is mutual, like in a lot of the online spaces that I frequent. You guys are doing amazing stuff. Stumpwork is an amazing album. Your whole body of music is, so check it out.
Thanks,
I'm excited for
Margot.
the show tonight. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and back at you. We love your work.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. That was so fun.
Yeah, that was great.